Back to one of our top stories now. Elon Musk is cracking down on his critics. Twitter has suspended the accounts of several reporters who are covering the platform's new owner. My next guest is one of them. Aaron Rupar is an independent journalist and publisher of Public Notice on Substack. He joins us now from Minneapolis. Aaron, thank you for making time for us.
Thanks for having me.
So how did you find out that your Twitter account has been suspended?
I was actually playing on the floor of our condo with my 7-month-old yesterday evening when I started getting messages on Instagram and via email from people saying, "Oh my goodness, your Twitter account has been suspended." And I initially thought people, were trolling me or that perhaps there was some sort of technical error. But when I pulled up Twitter on my phone, sure enough, there was a notice at the top of my account that I had been permanently suspended. At that point, I had not heard anything directly from Twitter, so I was left to kind of do some reporting on my own to try and figure out what had happened. And of course, it turns out I was part of a larger group of journalists who have been critical of Elon who were banned.
So now there was no, as you've described, there was no message that came to you directly from the platform suggesting, hey, you've been warned, we're suspending your account. You got all these messages from other people. We did hear from Musk because he tweeted on his platform, we heard, that he said, criticizing me all day long is totally fine, but doxing my real-time location and endangering my family is not. What do you make of that as an explanation here?
It's quite absurd. Just to back up one step, I mean, what turns out to have been the case here was that he was upset over a tweet that I posted linking to the Facebook page of the Elon Jet account, which was banned from Twitter. This is an account that tracks Elon's private jet using publicly available information. So it's not like this is, some sort of stalker account or using information that can't be found by anyone. But when that account was banned on Wednesday from Twitter, I just posted a tweet saying, hey, this account may be dead on Twitter, but if you want to follow it on Facebook, here's the link. And that was, I figured out hours later after I was banned, the tweet that he construed as doxing him, somehow endangering his family and leading to my banishment. But I do think the idea that in any meaningful way endangered himself or his family is quite absurd.
Let's talk about this as a broader context, because certainly there were a lot of discussions involving Elon Musk saying that he claimed once he took over the social media platform, that would mean there would be more free speech, that he would be a big proponent of that. Do these actions that he's taking now contradict that so-called mission statement that he had?
Well, they definitely contradict statements that he made, just a few weeks ago, saying that his commitment to free speech extended all the way to allowing this Elon Jet account to exist on Twitter. So he's clearly changed his mind about that. I do think the important a distinction here to keep in mind is that free speech and violations of free speech have to do when the government suppresses speech. And so in this case, because Twitter is a private company owned by Elon, it's up to him to decide what the rules are. I mean, this is his prerogative. I've had people reaching out to me asking me if I've contacted lawyers and things like that. And I don't really think that would get anywhere because it is ultimately his decision to make in terms of what speech he wants on this platform and what speech rises to the level of banning someone. But I do think that it will have a chilling effect on coverage of Elon, which is maybe part of his goal here. It'll cause journalists like myself to think twice before posting anything critical of him or that could be construed as, offensive to him and result in a banishment. And I also think it shows that the terms of service for Twitter at this point are basically whatever Elon wants them to be from moment to moment, because this policy against sharing, linking even to the Elon Jet Facebook account was announced by Elon hours after I had posted my tweet. So I ended up basically being banned for something that at the time I posted it was not a terms of service violation, but hours later was. And I think that kind of shows that you have to be careful with what you post on Twitter these days because you can be banned for just about anything.
And to that point, we know that the EU Commissioner, for example, had warned that the EU's Digital Services Act requires the respect of media freedom, going on to say that Elon Musk should be aware of that. There are red lines and sanctions soon that could come if this is in violation of that. So again, speaking more broadly about this, how much should people be concerned about these sort of actions being taken? Because, once upon a time, Twitter used to be thought of as this social media platform where people used to say, hey, I had a coffee today. But now it's become a platform where politicians are delivering messages, where we're getting a real sense of coverage on the ground from small communities. Emergency crews are saying what's happening on location to certain places. So how does this really impact what has become an important information forum?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think a lot of journalists, myself included, have thought of Twitter as being almost like a digital public square and sort of a institution that is rules-based where, if someone is banned, there's an appeals process, there are transparent rules that are consistent over time. They may change, but they're not going to change day to day. And I do think this is really kind of an object lesson that is no longer the case, and that, this is really Elon Musk's plaything at this point. And he's kind of making up the rules as he goes. And I do think, we saw some of this. I saw, CNN had a very strong statement after one of their journalists was banned along with me, saying that they are going to reassess their relationship with Twitter based on how this issue is resolved. And, I think the thing that's really risky for Twitter is at what point do brands, public figures, institutions, journalists kind of make the calculation that it's no longer worth the trouble and that, maybe they should use other platforms or scale back their social media presence altogether. And so I do think that, while Elon may have felt like he got one over on us by banning myself and other journalists, I do think this really has the potential to backfire for him. And I think as a result of that, you're seeing that he's already walking this back. And there's already been indications on his Twitter account that these suspensions will not, in fact, be permanent.
And to that point, then, we know that, for example, your account had originally said permanently suspended, and now it just says suspended. We don't know what that really means. There's no particular definition about that. But you were talking about people have to sort of make their own calculations on whether or not they stay on this platform. What are you weighing right now? Is this sort of spelling the end of your Twitter use?
That's actually a really complicated question. I mean, the thing for me as an independent journalist who runs a newsletter business and has a huge following on Twitter is that I use Twitter to engage with my readers, to attract new subscribers and spread the word about what I'm doing. And so if I am reinstated, I don't foresee that I would, deactivate my account. I mean, I also for many years now have been posting real-time videos of political events in the U.S. And so it's kind of an archive, dating back to the early Trump years of politics here in the U.S. with video. And so, I thought it was a shame when I thought that I was permanently suspended to lose that for kind of spurious reasons as I see them. But I don't foresee myself leaving Twitter if I am reinstated, but this is definitely prompting me to make an effort to get active on different platforms that I foresee being a little more stable going forward, like Post and Mastodon. So if nothing else, this, the silver lining is that I'm going to spend some time over the weekend into next week really trying to build out a presence on other platforms.
Aaron, thank you so much for your time today discussing this with us.
Thanks for having me.
Aaron Rupar is an independent journalist and publisher of Public Notice on Substack. We reached him today in Minneapolis.